I'm developing a randomised exploration game that aims to fit well onto a mobile device. I've been working on this project for about a year and a half now, and I try and release an alpha to the general public each month. And this month, the alpha is... Yes, it's time for an alpha release, supposedly. Unfortunately though, I'm not actually here over the weekend, so that gives me 3 less days, including travel, to actually make the thing. Can I do it? Well, I started the week by recording an entire day without any audio, so off to a good start. Pretty much I began work on the full screen functionality as described in this task here. I wanted to have borderless full screen, but that would require some work unfortunately. Mostly was the fact that the window of this game can't actually be resized. I did this because the game had a technical prolapse when I tried to do this before, but of course no resizing isn't great for those with smaller screens, also known as the peasantry. Allowing resize introduced some other weird issues, notably if you resized the window you ended up with borders around things in the GUI. This caused me much pain, but upon investigation turns out my GUI library was just reverting the windows upon resize back to the borders defined in the skins, not my actual custom overrides. Well, this did seem kind of stupid because I, overrode them. I didn't actually write the library, so I just went with it. My default Windows skin had a border of 10 units, so I just defined a custom skin with no border, replaced the override method, and the game resized now much better. And I was pretty happy. Now, another thing I stumbled upon while doing this, also within the time when the audio didn't record, I wasn't actually drawing text at full resolution when on high-res screens. If I gave the GUI library the actual resolution of the window rather than just the virtual one, text got smaller but became pixel perfect. Basically, virtual just means with a higher resolution display, you want stuff to be the same size in the physical realm, but obviously take up more of the pixels on the screen. I had to add some features to the engine to allow it to set the default font size for labels. Everything looked way nicer. I also fixed the render resolution for the game itself. Basically, it just suffered from the same problem. Obviously, it looks way better, but is now also more GPU intensive as a result. It also doesn't quite work on mobile yet, but we'll get to that later. With the weird scaling issues fixed, I then moved on to fixing a sleep issue with my Windows and Linux laptop. This being a laptop that I absolutely had to have working to test builds on. This is definitely not foreshadowing, by the way. The problem was the Windows 11 install wasn't actually going to sleep properly, so you shut the lid and it just wouldn't turn back on. Oh, that's not a good looking screen. Why is it like bright red? And why is the fan making this scary noise? Alright, let's see if sleep works. Go to sleep, my child. Well, it turned out that was quite difficult. Because for some reason, this happened.
Yeah, looks like I might have destroyed the computer.
Don't restart. With my testing laptop now not booting, I decided I didn't have time to fix it and moved on to something else. Okay, it's sort of late, but I'm thinking I'm maybe just going to do a few hours of simple bug fixes. Simple because my brain isn't really functioning enough to be able to do more than that, but this should be fun. I've ripped my nice coat, by the way. See? Not happy at all. Sections of the overworld are hidden. Yeah, this has just been an annoyance. I think I just need to pass that data over. Actually, yeah, this is going to be really easy. Right, let's see if this actually sets it correctly. So, find some regions. And visit, and we leave. Hey, it worked. Lovely. Oh, actually, no, it didn't. Oh, that's unrelated. Yeah, don't care about that one. There's lots of bugs in this thing. God, this is a rubbish world. It just crash all the time. Okay, let's fix that next. Let's try and get like 3 done tonight. Okay, so for some reason, player health is invalid. For some reason, when you entered another world by visiting a location and leaving, any modification to player health after that caused a crash. That's so peculiar. Okay, 0-1. So the regular world got notified of the health change. It turned out I was delivering events to worlds which no longer existed for some reason, which caused essentially a null pointer error. I just put a workaround in really because another issue relating to the engine dispatching old events appeared later on, so this wasn't actually isolated. But I just didn't know it at the time. I think I might have done it, maybe. Right, another bug. Dead. Buried. Committed. So yeah, it starts off with total health, which is completely wrong. And actually that's not such a difficult fix. The next bug was that when the player visited a location, they always had full health. Yeah, look, I've got 100% health. And that is because I am a complete moron and have hard-coded the value. Why would I ever think that that was a good idea? This was probably the easiest fix of them all though. And go to a house. What the hell is that as well? Right, visit. Yeah! Consistency, one thing I'm known for. With my Windows and Linux laptop fried, I needed to test the game on another Linux PC. Luckily, a certain institutional video game company had made a device that was actually open to their user base, rather than it being the other way around. I had tested the game on the Steam Deck before in the ancient times, and as it's basically just a Linux PC, I had pretty good luck with it. Okay, good, I managed to get it actually booting into the desktop client. Yeah, rungame.sh is what the thing actually runs. Ooh, look at this! Well, I mean, it runs. It's not really much of a surprise that it actually runs. Let's try the latest build. It looks quite broken. It shouldn't look like that, should it? Just calling rungame.sh. Guess it does. Okay, we've got a touchscreen. The game has touchscreen support. It's actually running. I'm sure. Oh, famous last words. Sorry, the angle I have to get it at is really annoying. The Steam Deck ended up being a really great tool to debug the scaling issues on lower res screens. Okay, so I did a little bit of work off camera. So one thing I've got working is the two-handed weapons in the inventory. So this is my great sprite that I made to represent the two-handed sword. It's difficult to make a big sword while also having to work with pixels, but I don't think I'm actually going to be using pixel art for the final game. So now if you try and equip it to a hand, what it actually does is it removes the other ones as well. In theory, the idle animation should be like the player holding it with two hands, but he's just pretty dense. He's been working out clearly. If I re-equip all this stuff, and if I then equip that stuff again, then you see it takes it away. So that's good, that's what I want. So this is meant to be the right hand because it points in the direction of right, but it's in his left hand. Like facing forwards, that's his left hand. I really don't know whose fault that is. I mean, I say I don't know whose fault it is. I'm the only person working on this game, so it's most certainly me. But even here, left hand, he's holding it in his right hand. So, like, honestly, things couldn't really get any worse. My Arch Linux setup is now, like, frozen. Like, the mouse is there, not doing anything. Just turn it on and off again. Ah, God, I was a bit concerned there. The last thing I can do with it is another computer breaking, honestly. Like, I recently updated this to a new GNOME version. Oh no, he crashed. Oh! Ah! Okay, just to put this into perspective, I have to do a 3-hour drive tomorrow to London. I'm going to be staying at some friend's house for 2-3 days. And I have to release an alpha, and I also have a video to make. I thought I was kind of ahead of schedule in some ways, but like enough stuff has happened that I don't know what's going on with this alpha, to be honest. The main thing I was trying to test was the scaling issue I had seen after I introduced that 4K scaling fix. Yay! Okay, it's broken. That's good, because I wanted it to be broken, because that way I can actually reproduce it. Like, the problem I have is that there's quite clearly been a regression, because it didn't do that before, and there is no canvas resizing. So that makes me think it's something else. Maybe it's something to do with the positioning. Like, I know I moved it down here. I'd imagine, let's just see what it looks like here. Okay, yeah, okay, so if it's right down the bottom, it doesn't do anything. Right, that'll be why then. The issue came about because I had set some of the scaling values before I'd set up the actual compositor. A pretty easy fix, but there were still more bugs to come. I just wanted to give you a quick preview of some of the turmoil that I'm having to face at the moment. It's pretty late. If you murder a goblin, it will crash. And I'm not really sure why. So I actually did make a modification to my destroy movable objects thing. This was changed from being just a thing that destroys one element to being one that destroys multiple. And that's what's causing the problem, like it's asserting. And I found from googling around that this is generally the way you're expected to do it, which is what's perplexing me a bit. Long and short, I can't really skip out on the trip tomorrow, but this might call for drastic measures because I'm not really going to be able to film. I'm not really going to be able to work. I'm going to have my MacBook, but I'm not going to be able to resolve Windows issues when I'm there. So I'm tempted to just push the alpha back by a week. And that's painful to say because I've only done one alpha and I was really hoping to get in this routine, but Like, I just don't want to ship a broken product. Like, at the moment, the problem is that you kill an enemy and it crashes. Like, that is bad. That can't exist on the Windows build. And if I'm not in a position to fix it, there's just, like, it can't be shipped like this. That's just flat out fundamental. It can't be shipped like this. I think maybe some bits of the engine aren't as stable as they should have been. And this was all stuff I wrote during the pandemic as well, which is a time when it was I really wasn't enjoying working on the engine. I kind of just wanted to get stuff done as quickly as possible. I think I could release an alpha. The problem is that there's just going to be stuff missing from it. Like, the main one is there's no inventory saving, so nothing at all is included in the save. And I sort of keep talking like this for a while. Oh, hello. This is Post-Edit Other Mythos. I'm here to tell you that I eventually ended up tagging the second alpha release. So the problem was that I just kept finding issues and bugs with it. Now, I'd like to point out, this is generally what you'd expect from a project at this stage of development. It's not exactly new, so the codebase isn't small, but it's also not big enough that it's sort of mature enough, if that makes sense. So there are two major problems right now. The first is that you can't visit locations on the Linux build. It just crashes entirely. This is to do with permission errors. Although it seems that this was actually present in the original alpha release as well, and it just wasn't actually reported on. And I didn't notice it either. The other problem is that inventory items don't actually persist saves. That is a real shame because I did want that. The problem was that I ran out of time essentially, and changing the save file system is something that I'd like to have tested well enough so that I know I'm just not going to break anything. So I just pushed it back. The game is playable without it. By the looks of things, and from everything I've learnt this month, it seems to me like the next month is going to focus on stability testing infrastructure. So we're again moving away from Gamedev and back onto just back-end code. I've been doing that for long enough that I don't really want to keep doing it. That is sort of a shame because I know people would like to see some of the gameplay develop, but you have to do this stuff first. Like, this is good for the longevity of the project, which is what I'm interested in. But at the same time, I think I'll probably mix in the odd few gameplay-related feature just to kind of help keep it a bit interesting. And also, I'm reaching the point now where I really want to start thinking about user interface design. So all these things are probably going to come in the next month. So you can download the alpha release at this link, give it a play, and I'll also remind you now that we also have a system in the Discord where if you provide any sort of feedback during any of these alphas, you get a sort of bumped level in your Discord roles, and the people with the higher levels in their Discord roles when the game actually comes to release will get a mention in the game's special thanks. So that's a good way to get rewarded if you want to help out with any of this stuff. So join the Discord, I'll get back to work doing some firefighting, and I guess I'll see you next week.